Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a journey way back in time, over 5,000 years ago, to the land of pharaohs, pyramids, and incredible innovation, ancient Egypt. And believe it or not, these ancient people were not just master builders, but also master bakers and brewers. That's right, we're diving into the fascinating story of how ancient Egyptians invented two staples that still define our diets today: bread and beer. When you think about the essentials of life, food and drink are right at the top, aren't they? For the ancient Egyptians, bread and beer weren't just sustenance. They were the very foundation of their society, their economy, and even their religious beliefs. We're talking about a civilization that literally ran on grains, primarily barley and emmer wheat. So, how did this all begin? Well, imagine living in a world before supermarkets, before even basic cooking schools. Early humans were hunter-gatherers, but around 10,000 BC, something revolutionary happened: the agricultural revolution. People started cultivating crops, and the fertile Nile Valley was a perfect cradle for this transformation. Fast forward a few thousand years, and the Egyptians had become incredibly adept at farming. They had a surplus of grains, and like any clever civilization, they started experimenting with what they could do with them. The first step to bread, of course, is milling the grain. Now, picture this: no fancy electric grinders. Ancient Egyptian women, primarily, would spend hours, often kneeling, grinding tough grains between two stones. This was back-breaking work, resulting in flour that was often coarse and gritty, sometimes containing bits of stone. Archaeologists have even found worn-down teeth in ancient Egyptian mummies, a testament to this arduous process. But even with gritty flour, the magic was about to happen. Early forms of bread were likely flatbreads, much like modern-day tortillas or pitas, made by simply mixing flour and water and baking it on hot stones or in rudimentary ovens. However, the game changer, the true invention, was leavened bread. How did they discover leavening? It was probably an accident. Imagine leaving a dough mixture out in the warm Egyptian air. Wild yeasts, tiny microorganisms floating all around us, would have naturally found their way into the mixture, started fermenting the sugars in the flour, and produced carbon dioxide gas. This gas would have created bubbles, causing the dough to rise. And when baked, instead of a dense, hard flatbread, they got something light, airy, and much more palatable. This accidental discovery was monumental. It transformed bread from a simple filler to a delightful, nutritious food. The Egyptians didn't just stop at one type of bread. Oh no! They developed a staggering variety, sometimes hundreds of different kinds, using different grains, shapes, and additives. Bread was so vital that workers were often paid in loaves, and it played a central role in religious rituals and offerings to the gods. Think about it: bread as currency. It truly highlights its importance. Now, let's talk about bread's equally famous cousin, beer. Just like bread, the invention of beer in ancient Egypt is thought to have been an accidental discovery, intrinsically linked to their bread-making process. Imagine a loaf of bread dough, maybe a bit underbaked or left out too long, becoming wet and fermenting. Or perhaps, grains intended for bread production got wet and started to germinate and ferment. Either way, the result was a rudimentary alcoholic beverage. The earliest Egyptian beer was probably thick, cloudy, and highly nutritious. It wasn't the crisp, clear lager we enjoy today. It was more like a liquid bread, often described as a porridge-like consistency, packed with vitamins and calories. Because water in ancient times wasn't always safe to drink, beer provided a safer, more hygienic alternative, as the fermentation process helped kill off harmful bacteria. And much like bread, beer wasn't just a casual drink. It was a dietary staple, enjoyed by men, women, and even children, though presumably in a weaker form for the young ones. Workers on the pyramids were supplied with daily rations of beer. It fueled their incredible labor. It was also central to their social life, their festivals, and again, their religious ceremonies. There's even a goddess, Tenenet, who was specifically associated with brewing. So, the Egyptians had this amazing synergy. They grew grains, milled them into flour, made bread, and from that same grain, they brewed beer. These two inventions created a robust agricultural economy and supported a thriving civilization. They built an entire society around these foundational foods. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. How did their methods shape modern diets? Well, the basic principles of leavened bread and fermented beverages are still with us. Every time you bite into a fluffy sandwich or enjoy a pint of your favorite brew, you're experiencing a direct lineage to those ancient Egyptian innovations. The concept of fermentation, perfected by the Egyptians for beer, is now applied to countless food products worldwide, from yogurt and cheese to sourdough bread and kombucha. Their understanding of basic cereal cultivation and processing laid the groundwork for agriculture across the globe. Think about the structure of a modern bakery or brewery. While the technology is vastly different, the core objective remains the same: transforming grains into delicious, nourishing food and drink. The Egyptians were the OGs of food processing and preservation through fermentation. They gave us the very idea that humble grains could be transformed into something magnificent. Their innovations weren't just about sustenance. They were about culture, community, and civilization building. They showed us how food can be a unifier, a source of celebration, and a cornerstone of daily life. Isn't it incredible to think that every slice of toast or every frosty glass of beer connects us to a civilization thousands of years ago? It is a powerful reminder that some of the most profound inventions often come from the simplest needs and a little bit of accidental genius. So next time you're enjoying a delicious sandwich or clinking glasses with friends, take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity of the ancient Egyptians. They truly shaped the way we eat and drink today. Thank you so much for joining me on this historical culinary adventure. If you found this as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more journeys into the past that impact our present. We love having you here. See you next time.